Most people who take a seat in a small compact hatchback, especially the back, end up having a fit because of how small and cramped it is. But instead of having a fit, what if you could have a fit? Welcome to Liam Drives, and today I'm going to be driving a Honda Fit. It's also called the Honda Jazz in Europe, and I think Honda was trying to hint at something by calling it the Fit for the North American market. Thankfully, you don't need to be fit to fit into the Honda Fit. I've adjusted the front seat up to where I would sit. I'm about 6 feet, and I'm sitting behind myself, and I got like 5.5 inches of legroom back here. It is insane. It's super spacious, got these big windows, feels great in here. I got plenty of headroom as well, and I'm not lying by saying sitting up front is just as nice as sitting in the back. It's a really, really nice place to be, and if you had to do a longer trip and you had rear passengers, I don't think they would be complaining at all. Now you might be saying, well, Honda has given the rear passengers so much room, they've sacrificed all the room you could have in the trunk. Take a look at this. Plenty of room. I can comfortably sit back here, not that I would ever have to. You got tons of room up front, tons of room in the back, tons of room in the trunk. It fits. Now I'm going to show you a really cool feature that I haven't seen on any other car before. Let's say you have a bad back and you need to adjust your seat. Well, instead of reaching down here, you can pull this little tab here, you pull it towards yourself and then back, and look at that. Full adjustment. It's absolutely fantastic. I've never seen it before ever in a car. And you just snap it back into place and you're good. Easy peasy. Now in every other compact hatchback, the rear seats fold down, and these do too, but here is the difference. Oh, come on. There we go. These fold 100% flat. All the other ones fold down at a little bit of an angle, but this is flat, and it makes loading things in and out much easier. And I think you could totally sleep in here. Yeah, you could totally sleep in here. This is nuts. Super awesome. It fits. Now, if you thought that was cool, get a load of this. Look at this. It's awesome. It fits. Now, if you thought that was cool, let me show you the best feature of this car. We'll start by taking the passenger headrest off. We'll put that right there. Next, we'll slide this seat up as far as it'll go. And once you've done that, you can recline it all the way down and keep squishing it. Squish it down so it lines up with the rear seat. And if you keep squishing, it'll fit. Good. Next, kick the dust off your feet and lie down in the back of your Honda Fit. Here I'm having a Rolls-Royce experience. I'm lying down super comfy, minus the Starlit headliner, in a car that you can get for at least 2,500 bucks. Absolutely fantastic. And this is genius for a road trip. So let's say you're on a road trip with one other person, your spouse or your friend, and they're driving and they want a break. You can do this little setup right here, and they can relax, have a nap, and it's no big deal because you still have tons of room right here for all your luggage, and the back as well. It fits. So far we've learned that this is an incredibly useful and practical hatchback. The rear seats configure in a multitude of ways. You can lay down in it and take a nap. You can sleep in this if you're creative enough. This car makes sure that you or whatever you're carrying will fit. But what if you're an enthusiast, you don't really care about any of that stuff? Well, it has a 28.5 horsepower engine, about the same amount of power that all hatchbacks of this tier make. And the engine is a little bit smaller than this almond milk carton. All jokes aside, this is a very nice handling and driving car. It is very peppy, it has about 100 horsepower from an engine that does have VTEC. So all you VTEC fanboys can add this to your wish list. And people who track these things or autocross them praise them for their rigid chassis and their nimble handling. This does have a very rigid chassis, and you can feel that when you're going over bumps on the road. It feels very calm and composed. So let's talk about the interior of the car. The first thing I noticed is these seats are very supportive, a lot more supportive than you'd think for a car like this. Another thing I noticed is how good the interior is put together. I can push on any surface in here and it doesn't make any noise, and it makes the interior feel very solid and very high quality. And you combine that with the rigid chassis, it doesn't make any noise in here when going over bumps, and people are really going to like that. As far as basic amenities, you got your cup holders, aux jack, little storage cubbies here and there. You got a little pen spot right here, something right here, door pockets, and that's all included in a very simple interior layout as well. There's not a lot to dislike at all inside of here. So the first word that comes to my mind when driving the Honda Fit is cheerful. It just feels like such a happy little Honda. I love how open and spacious it is in here. It's got this enormous window. Every other window in here is really, really nice. It's much different than the Mazda 3 I drove the other day. It's got some pep to it. Feels very similar to all the other compact hatchbacks that I've driven in the past. What's different though is this gearbox. A lot of other compact hatchback gearboxes, they feel very vague. It feels very sloppy. I mentioned this in my last video. It feels like the gear lever is shoved in a bag of stale marshmallows. And this, you get a little bit of that with the manual transmission in this car, but not too much. It's still satisfying to shift, and it feels really good. Now this is a pretty bumpy road as well. It feels great, honestly. There's not too much noise. There's no weird noises coming from the cabin, like squeaks and rattles. Feels very, very solid. Now the one thing I don't like is the brakes, and it might just be with this car, but it's like nothing, 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 and then it slows down. It's kind of like an on and off switch. I don't really like that. Feels very light. The steering's nice. The driving position is nice as well. I can really see why enthusiasts are drawn to this car. The seat is very supportive. It's very confidence inspiring, which is rare in a car like this. Most of the time the seats is just two pieces of foam that offer no support as well, but this is not like that at all. And you also get good Honda reliability as well. If you take care of it, it'll last you forever. Hondas are super reliable. This has really low mileage though. It only has about 147,000 kilometers, which is like 90 or 95,000 miles. So super low mileage, but it feels good. It feels like a very solid car. It doesn't feel that old at all. Throttle response is pretty good too. You can heel toe with ease and rev match with ease. This is a great car. You can totally see why people are drawn to these cars. Now this car, there's not a whole much else to talk about. It is stock, there's nothing done to it, and it's a pretty basic hatchback. But because it's so usable in terms of what you can do with the rear seats and the fact that the seats fold down flat and that you can lay down in the stinking thing, this really puts it above the rest in its class. And I know the latest Honda Fit does all those things as well. It's just as usable as this one is. This would be the perfect car for someone living in a suburban area. Like if you live in downtown and you need a car, you can't rely fully on transit or taxis or Uber. This is the car for you because it's small, it's easy to park, it's great on gas. You got a ton of space as well, because if you don't want to drive a big vehicle downtown, then you need a small car. But when you have a small car, you're sacrificing space. And you're still sacrificing space with this, but like I said, it's way more usable and way more practical than any other hatchback. Now, obviously, it's not the best hatchback ever. There are better hatchbacks that you can buy that are a little bit less practical and that handle better if that's something that you want. But if you want something that can do everything, these can handle. I've seen people mod them. They're pretty quick. But if you need something that can do everything, then I think this is a really good this would be a really good choice. One thing I noticed is you got these little triangle windows right underneath the A-pillar. It's kind of weird that Honda put that there. I can see why they did, because if they totally closed it, then it'd be just one fat, thick A-pillar. And A-pillars are so thick in cars nowadays. I've almost hit pedestrians because they've gotten in the way of my vision in the A-pillar, but that's probably why Honda put that there, to give you a little bit extra visibility. And that's the Honda Fit, folks. If you're looking for a used hatchback that has way more space than your average compact hatchback, but is also just as fun to drive, if not more fun to drive because it has VTEC, then you'll fit right in with this car. Thank you for watching.